Hello there, it's 4 o'clock, which means it's a Artcore artist takeover, and this today's artist is me, Michael Borkowsky. So, any questions? Please let me know. I guess I'll start by introducing myself a little bit and who I am, my work, etc. So I'm an artist based in Sheffield. A lot of my work is to do with, well, pretty much all of it's to do with scent, but quite a lot of it's to do with perfume as well. I'm a perfume maker. A lot of my exhibitions that I initiate myself are perfume based in some way, whether that's to do with making perfumes that are portraits of people or making perfumes for specific sort of reasons to do with environmental concerns or some sort of narrative or symbolic thing. Anything really. The whole kind of point is that I've sort of placed perfume on a contemporary art sort of platform. So you might think of perfumes as being these sort of things that you buy in shops, but my work's about sort of unleashing the potential, I suppose, of perfume and what it can do, what it can mean, that kind of thing. Been doing it for a while now, about 5 years, 6 years. I also deliver perfume making workshops, and yeah, that's kind of an overview of who I am and what I do. I'm in a makeshift sort of studio because, as we all know, it's all gone a bit mad out there, and we can't really go to our studios at the moment. So I've made a bit of a makeshift one here in my dining room, and I've got stuff like sweet almond oil, so a carrier oil for perfume making. I've got a limited supply of essential oils and fragrance oils there. What else have I got? Some measuring jugs, which is always important for measuring. A cup of tea, which is always important for drinking tea. That's kind of everything that I've got in here. Very, very limited supply of stuff, but I'm still trying to get on with a bit of work, trying to think about things to do now that it's all a bit strange out there. But yeah, if you have any questions, do let me know. Looking forward to hearing them. Anything you like. Obviously, my work's about perfume. If you want to know anything about that, let me know. Anything about my other sort of artistic endeavours, let me know. As well as being a perfume maker and artist, I also deliver a initiative in Sheffield and around the UK called Frontier, which is basically me and my wife putting on exhibitions for people, open call exhibitions. So people submit work to us, and then we exhibit them in all sorts of spaces. So if you want to know any more about that, also let me know. Yeah. What else have we got in here today? We've got some paint. I do still like to. I'm a painter, sort of traditionally, I suppose. It's what I sort of did at uni. So I do try and keep the painting going a little bit. Sometimes in my exhibitions, I paint as well as. Oh, we've got a question. So we've got, what's the most unusual scent you've created? Well, I don't know if I've really done any unusual sort of scents actually. I guess, I mean, the thing is, my work originally, it was about artists and making portraits of artists using the craft of perfume making. So how that kind of goes, how that might sort of, an example of that would be if an artist gets back to me and says that they make art because they feel happy, then I might try and think about scents that also make people feel happy. So stuff like fruits, sort of light, uplifting sort of aromas induce happiness in people. So they may well go into the perfume that captures. I'm holding this pencil for no reason. That captures their essence. So things like that. And there's been a few kind of instances where there's been a very sort of complex response to the question, why do you make art? And I have to sort of think about how I'd go about making the scent, because it's a really complex sort of answer. Um, so if that, yeah, so I could say put lemons or whatever in a scent because they've said that it makes them feel happy, but they've also said something like, and it's a medicinal sort of mental health benefit to making art. So then I go, well, okay, so what kind of scents sort of make you think about health in some way? Then you've got all sorts of sort of things like thyme, for example, is supposed to help with cures for the plague, which is quite relevant at the moment. So I might make a scent that's sort of got a lemon and thyme in, which is a little bit of an unusual perfume to make, but it all depends on what the artists say to me, really. And I try and be quite disciplined to the craft of perfume making. So I've not really, unfortunately, quite a boring answer to the question is, haven't really made very many unusual scents. It just depends on what the artists sort of say to me in response to the question, why do you make art? So yeah, unfortunately, not a particularly interesting answer there, but thank you very much for the question. So yeah, any more questions, please get in touch. I'm trying to think about anything else that so obviously with the lockdown that's happening now, we've got before that we've got what types of collaborations have you done? Well, quite a lot really. I mean, I've done collaborations with other artists in as much as I see each sort of perfume that I make that's a portrait as a collaboration between myself and the artist, because without their sort of offloading of the question, why do you make art, I wouldn't be able to make a perfume that captures their essence. So in a way, I see every perfume that I make in that manner as being a collaborative effort, and indeed they get gifted some of the perfume when the exhibitions or whatever it is has been completed. But aside from that, I've been this year is the first was going to be the first year where I made a commercial perfume, fully commercial. It was a collaboration with Bristol Museum and Art Gallery, which is still going to happen a bit further on down the line, to make not only some scented experiences around the theme of the Pre-Raphaelites, which is an exhibition that they are going to have in their museum, but also to make a commercial perfume for their shop, which is being quite interesting because it's a whole different world, really. It's all about trying to make it an official sort of legal perfume, which is kind of quite an interesting process actually. And I've been collaborating with a fragrance house called Carvensons, as well as collaborating with Bristol Museum and Art Gallery in order to deliver the scents. Hopefully that will still be happening a bit further on down the line. It was due to happen in May, but it's going to happen at least in June now, but probably a bit later on than that. So yeah, that's an example of a few different collaborations there. But kind of anything really. It's if anybody wants to collaborate, indeed, do get in touch. We can sort of maybe collaborate further on down the line. So yeah, like I was saying, I'm trying to keep busy in this sort of period of uncertainty, and I told you earlier about Frontier, which is mine and Sharon Mosbeck's initiative. We're doing some stuff online called Frontier Lockdown, where people can send us their work and we'll put it on an online art gallery over on Instagram, Frontier Lockdown. So that's quite a fun thing to do in this uncertain time. We've had another question come through. Tell us about the international exhibitions you have done, for example, in Greece. So yeah, we've done a few things. I say we, me and Sharon Mosbeck again. We've done a few things in Greece, in Athens, where we've put on 2 open call exhibitions there. where it's an art. Well, we've basically been involved in an art fair called Platforms Project over the last couple of years, and basically it's a contemporary art fair where we are allocated a few meters of space, which we can do whatever we like with. And me and Sharon as Frontier, I've hosted an open call there a few times. One of them was based on the idea of the stars and the planets, and me, Sharon, and another artist called Alison Whitmore. we created our version of our sort of interpretation of the planets in our own sort of discipline. So I created 3 perfumes based on 3 planets. Can't remember which planets they were, but I did that, and then Sharon did 3 planets, and Alison did 3 planets. But then we also had an open call element where people did stars. So they made pieces. I think they were 25 centimeters at the most, based on a star. So they drew stars, or they illustrated some sort of narrative to do with stars, anything to do with stars. And then we sort of placed them around the exhibition space that we were allocated. So we do things like that. It was kind of an opportunity to do something internationally, which was really fun. And it was also an opportunity to provide artists with an international sort of string to their bow, really, which is the kind of thing that we try and do as Frontier quite a lot. It's all about sort of providing opportunities for people. Often it's in Sheffield. In that instance, it was in Athens. We did another one similar in Athens as well. We've done one in Bristol. We're hoping in the future to be doing sort of more and more of it, really. It's kind of our big sort of aim is to make it our sort of job in a way, so that we can provide those opportunities on a more sort of regular and consistent basis. Because at the moment it's a bit freelance. We have to sort of deliver them based on opportunities that come to us. But perhaps one day we'll have a gallery, or run our own gallery, or anything like that. So yeah, that's part of my sort of artistic endeavours, really. So I've got perfume sort of on one side, and then I've got Frontier on one side, and it's really good. But it's a very strange situation at the moment, of course, with everything that's going on. I've had to stop some of the things that I was going to be doing later in next month now. I was going to do, hopefully this will still happen further on down the line, but in April this year I was going to do a installation thing at Leeds International Festival, which was going to be a sort of a cocktail bar full of all this kind of perfume based sort of things, and I was going to sort of make perfumes in situ based on people's response to what do you want from the future, which is going to be a really fun thing to do, but hopefully I'll do it down the line. Got a few more questions in. Can you show some examples of your work if you have any around? Kind of don't have a huge amount around right now. My work generally looks like perfume bottles. So I've got some perfume bottles lying around. Most of my work is unfortunately still in my studio. Haven't really brought anything with me that's sort of finished. I am going to do something though in the next couple of weeks with this box. I don't know exactly what, but it's some sort of, I think I'm going to do some sort of love story with it, but something to do with it being quite secretive as well. Obviously perfume, love, there's some sort of correlation there. But I don't know what yet. But it's a very nice box. I'll show you. Again, there's you can put things in this. You can sort of slot things in these round holes there. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that just yet. Yeah, that's kind of everything that I've got at the moment. I've obviously got all of these, so I've got enough stuff to be making. I've got enough materials to be getting on with making stuff. But that's all I've got at the moment. We've got another question. Who's your favourite artist? Ooh, I don't know. I don't know really. It's a difficult question to answer really. There's there's a fair few out there that I like. It's kind of difficult. It's like when I make I I don't really think too much about artists. I think more about kind of perfumes that I like or sort of scents that I like. But in terms of kind of favorite artists, there's a few artists that work with scent similar, although a little bit different to how I work with scent. Um, there's a collaborative called Bombus and Parr, which I studied at uni, and they very nearly came to one of my exhibitions last year because I was sort of badgering them to come. But they do loads of stuff to do with food, kind of installations about food, and subsequently the scent of food. And they were kind of at uni. I did stuff to do with food. It's kind of how I got into making scent because I was looking at food, still life works actually, and thinking about ways to translate the things that you see into a scented experience. Um, but yeah, they have these sort of big installation pieces, and they can just be about different foodstuffs. So I drew quite a lot of inspiration from them early doors. And now I just kind of like to look at sort of old bottles and kind of antique sort of things that I can find and sort of draw inspiration from them really. So it's a bit of yeah, it's a bit strange that I don't really think about artists kind of in those terms that much anymore. But Bombus and Parr were definitely a pair of artists that I drew a lot of inspiration from back at uni. So I suppose they still count as being my favourite artist. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of yeah. I was trying to think of another one, but I sort of can't really think of any more that I like more than that. So there's your answer, Bombers and Parr. What else have we got here? Oh, we've got another question. May sound like a very stupid question. No such thing as a stupid question. But do you have a highly sensitive nose? I didn't read all of that question. I don't think I can see it again. Sorry for not answering the whole thing, but for what I just saw there, my nose has got better over the years. I can sort of pinpoint different scents within different perfumes now, for example. Whereas originally, if someone sprayed me a perfume, I'd be like, "Oh, that's nice or sweet or floral." But now I find that I'm able to pinpoint specific notes within a perfume. So I'd smell it and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, you can sort of smell that there's mandarin and rose, patchouli, that kind of thing in there." So I can break things down a lot better. So it's a bit more of a refined palette, I suppose. It's not dissimilar to how your palette gets improved when you eat. You can sort of get a more refined palette. It's very similar to that, really. So yeah, my nose is definitely more refined than it was, and continues to get more refined over the years. We've got another question there. Is that a map in the background? It is a map in the background. Have you been to places to research materials for your perfume? Good question, actually. No, I haven't really, although it's something that I'd like to do. I know that perfumes have got this huge sort of history, and not just sort of it's a worldwide sort of history where people there's places in France where there's certain things began. There's places in Cyprus where certain things began. There's places in the Middle East where certain things began to do with fragrance. It's a huge craft that spans sort of many years, and people's sort of interaction perception of fragrance changes everywhere you go as well. So there's a huge there's a whole world out there, of people's sort of experiences of fragrance. So it would be a really good thing to do in terms of research, but it's not really something that I've been able to do as yet. But yeah, hopefully one day it would be great. One more question there. We've got, how do you learn to recreate scent? My kind of processes have been all based around a few different things, which has been sort of intuition, sort of just getting on with it and seeing what I can do, as well as research. So reading books about perfume, talking to industry professionals, and sort of just experimenting, failing sometimes, and seeing what happens really. And over the sort of past 5 years, I've sort of got my own sort of techniques and my own sort of supply of oils as well. So it's kind of quite an intuitive sort of process. It's not dissimilar to painting, I suppose, in terms of you just get on with it. Probably got time for one more question, and it's how are you finding working from home? You know what? Fine, actually. It's been it's different, and it's a lot smaller, more contained, and you have to sort of think about how you go about working from home. But I've managed it okay. There's certain things that I can't do, but there's certain things that I can do. And it's just about trying to adapt to the situation really, and think about different ways of working. But so far, I mean, it's only been a few weeks in, well, a week or so in, hasn't it? But so far, so good. Right, I believe that's about it. So I'm going to sign off. Thanks, guys, for your comments and questions. Yeah, and you've got Catherine Borg next to look forward to tomorrow, the ceramicist at 4 o'clock. So thanks very much. And yes, that was my wife's comment at the end there, Carrie. Cheers, and see you around.